And is this your music room? Is this a...
No, actually, this is my girlfriend's home, so it's her music room.
Ah, cool, cool. It's very psychedelic.
Yeah, it is with a new record right there.
Hey, there you go. And what's the figure beside it? Who's standing beside it?
Up there?
Yeah, who's the figure? There's an action figure standing beside
Oh
the
yeah.
record.
Ah,
I see it
yeah,
in
no,
everybody's houses.
yeah. No, there's guitars and drum helmets and art and um, stuff.
Ah, man, that's awesome because it's summer over there, right?
Yeah, it's in the middle of summer. Yeah.
Man, you must be absolutely loving it because down here we're freezing our asses off, wishing that we were there.
Oh yeah, no, it's actually last night was with a kind of a storm here, so there was like trees falling down outside and stuff.
Is everyone all right?
Hmm?
Is everyone okay?
Yeah. The trees just fell over some trash cans, so it made a hell of a noise. But
That's a relief,
yeah,
dude.
yeah.
But,
Sometimes that happens.
yeah. But anyway, my name's Nev. It's great you could join us on the show, Anders. It's a pleasure to have you
Nice to
now.
see you, Neb.
Yeah,
Yeah,
man.
cool.
Of course, the
Awesome.
new Cadaver album, man. I love the fuck out of this thing. It is incredible, man. The Age of the Offended, which
Yeah,
this week, and man, it's great. And as the title suggests, we are, of course, in a time where social media runs people's lives, and and people want things to rage against, not machines.
yeah.
They want to feel like they're part of something, I guess, and it's intoxicating to them. Was that what drove this album?
Yeah, I mean, especially the title, I realized that, having been an artist for 35 years, I've been out there, outspoken about lots of things, trying to point to different things in society and religion and authorities and all kinds of stuff all my life. But now it seems like there's a misconception that requires people to agree, like a consensus thing, which I think is pissing a lot of people off. And this idea of having everything just gray and boring and politically correct and all that stuff is totally against everything I grew up with. It was when we grew up, we were looking at stuff like Monty Python. I mean, if any one of those Christian or Muslims out there who are on the fringes could look at Life of Brian and understand the concept, I don't think they even understand the concept that this religions they're believing in is man-made,
Yes.
and there to control the masses. And this intelligent form of humor and sarcasm and pointing people to directions where they didn't really understand things, or explaining things with very silly jokes in a very good way, like intelligent conversations. I think intelligence is under threat. you know all the all the stupidity and the stupid people have to have so much weight in today's society that everybody who's a little bit more uh wouldn't say smarter, but still that's probably what the correct word is. But it feels like everybody who has strong beliefs base them on almost nothing, and everybody that knows something just are not allowed to be experts anymore. Like suddenly, when we had the pandemic, all kinds of people that never studied medicine in their whole life is super experts on pandemics
They're all
and
scientists.
vaccines. Yeah, and all that. It's like nobody would ever pretend to understand the relativity theory from Einstein mathematically, but it's on the same level of know-how. So when all this absolutely idiots with the loudest mouth and the loudest phone are allowed to dictate what is really going on. All the conflicting conspiracies and all, there's like so much stuff going on right now. Like flat Earth society is even not even mentioned, but that's kind of obvious that all these people who never got laid needed their own club. But
It's that's right, man. That's exactly right.
yeah, so I mean, there's something to rage about for anyone, even if it's just I guess the next thing would be that clowns are offensive because they're having big red noses, and people with big red noses are feeling ashamed. I don't know. It's just a
It's
cascades of stupidity and idiocy. And so why don't people stop caring about things they don't like and care about things they like instead? That's my question.
I agree, man, and that's my sort of outlook on life. Maybe I'm a bit old, and I came from the Ren and Stimpy generation where everything was just fucked up and you just laughed about it. Like you mentioned about the life of Brian before, but you can't even. But these people now, they come from the Family Guy generation, man, and South Park, where it's like really fucked up, but they just everyone's offended. But I think this album's definitely got a place to rage against that. So
Yeah, but I mean, I'm not really pissed off by this. I think it's amusing to me because I find humans to be silly. You know, the more stupid people are, the more it amuses me. So it's one of those things. I mean, it's a never-ending classic. Having those people ask people on the streets in America. I don't think people in America are specifically stupider, but they sure get a hell of a lot of attention. Those who are, when people are like, "What is the Holocaust?" Well, I don't know. I haven't been there yet. Stuff like stuff like that never gets old. It's
oh
so
man.
funny.
And what about the artwork? I really dig the artwork for this album. It's like a collage of. I mean, I can see you're in there, right? You're there, and then there's
Yeah.
I know the mustache, but was there what's the meaning behind the art? How's that tied?
Well, it's basically an old school collage made from a photo and some other stuff. I wanted the things to be more hands on and done by human beings rather than done by computers. So I wanted to show this old craftsmanship of collages, which is just basically cut and glue stuff together. But if you do that cleverly, you can do really cool stuff. And it's very old school and pre Photoshop. So I really wanted to have that because it also sticks out as something original now when everybody's turned on to AI art, or whatever.
It's true. No, it is true. AI is absolutely everywhere, taking over the world at the moment. And I like the fact that you went old school with it. How long did that sort of did you do it or who did it? And what
No, it's an artist named Flesh Flies. You can find her on Instagram. Flesh Flies.
okay.
So she was actually suggested to me by the late Justin Bartlett, who was designing everything I did since '99. He sadly passed away from cancer this year.
Sorry to hear that, brother.
So but he was a driving force in the art world and extreme metal art, and he found her, and she was a Norwegian woman. I didn't know her before, so we just started to work on some ideas, and she came up with some cool stuff. So I like that.
That's awesome, man. How's your health going? Are you okay? You going all right?
Yeah, I'm doing perfectly fine. I've never been better.
That's awesome, man. You're in the clear, right? You in the clear now?
Yeah, I've been in the clear for 3 years now, actually.
Yeah, kick ass, man. That's really
Yeah,
good. I'm stoked for you, dude. Really,
thank
really.
you.
Yeah, yeah, man. I've lost friends with that before, and it's always triumphant when people win. So
Yeah,
yeah, and man, of course, the album as well is very musically diverse. compared to Edda and Bile. It's wild, man. You go in some crazy places, and where'd that come from this one?
Well, I just wanted to incorporate more of the stuff we've been, inspired by, and I'm not limited to the genre really, because I think Cadaver is a band which is kind of outside the genre norms, because we were there in the beginning of both death metal, black metal, and grindcore. So regardless, we were just like a different kind of outfit. Like it's kind of hard to compare bands really, but I don't really want to do that. But like Voivod was one of our huge inspirations, but they were never in one category. I mean, they covered Venom live. They did really extreme things. They did super progressive things. They did like psychedelic stuff and really weird shit. So basically, I see Cadaver as one of the bands in the more progressive type of outlets when it comes to diversity in the music. And it is also because we come from that generation where there was no really genres. There was just like different kinds of extreme bands. It's the younger generation that has I mean, even now death metal is not one thing. It haven't been for a long time. Now there's like 30 different death metal categories. And to me, that's just silly, because it's very limiting to whatever you do as a musician to try to fit into one like specific small genre, when music is so much more. We all love Black Sabbath, but if you really listen to them, they are all over the place, like the Beatles or something like that. So it's not like, I think the only thing that really doesn't fit what we're doing is a pure ballad. But having said that, I would rather, actually, it would be intriguing to make something really quirky and strange with like not acoustic guitars, but like clean sounds. I don't really mind doing strange things. I just want it to be sounding like us. But I don't think we're ever gonna do something which is soft in the soft kind of sense, so, because that doesn't really appeal to me. So it goes with what appeals to me, I think.
So no acoustic album, no Cadaver goes unplugged.
That would be really interesting. I mean, that would probably sound like the strangest rockabilly track you ever heard. I don't know. Maybe we'll just do something completely different. I never really set the rules, but I'm not. I'm not. I don't think an acoustic album per se would make any sense, but having even more dynamics would make sense. Because you have the double bass, so it could be interesting to take that to a different level next time. But we'll see.
So, I mean, with this album, of course, Dirk is a busy dude. I saw him recently. He was down here with Megadeth in December, I believe it was. And man, he's just everywhere at the moment. How are you guys making it work in terms of, you being busy, him being busy, and everyone sort of meeting up? How's that work in terms of creativity?
Well, he has a lot of downtime, because they're doing tours, and whenever they're not touring, I don't think they're rehearsing or hanging out. So he has a lot of time between tours. And touring right now for any band on a smaller level is not what it used to be. So I don't think we'll be touring much in the normal kind of what used to be normal, because this kind of music is too specific to even raise enough cash for a band to travel around the world. So it has to be festivals or boutique touring, I guess, because I'm looking at all this kind of options that has been flying around, and right now it just, I'm happy in my own studio recording, making music, also producing other bands, and playing live is a big part of what I've done. But I don't see bands like us playing long tours anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
Oh man, I'd love to see you down. I mean, you've been down here to Australia before, but not with.
Yeah, but that was before money was.
I know, man.
Yeah,
It's crazy. It is crazy times. I mean, even on a local level down here, just to get it one show because everywhere's booked up for months and months and months. Is it like that over there too? I'm guessing.
Uh, well, I mean, Norway is a part of Europe, so it's not that far to go to Germany or the UK or stuff like this. So it's, I mean, but a lot of international artists are skipping Norway because of costs. But that's on a level which is different from metal, you know.
Mm,
I'm not pop and mainstream music is doing really well. But I think underground music like we're doing is not gonna be able to tour worldwide and with the economy of music for the future. It's probably gonna go back to when we started out. It was impossible to tour the world, and now it's impossible again. So I'm not bothered by it. It was never my motivation to make music to tour the world, but it's really I don't think enough artists are talking about the reality of this because I think many people that like smaller acts or stranger kinds of music are used to that. Sometimes they turn up in their neighborhood,
yeah.
but I think that's not really gonna. I mean, for the older bands like us, that's pretty much over. You know, because there's no economy to make it happen.
And well, I definitely hope something changes soon because this I still have my bucket list of bands I'd love to see. It's either that or I'm going to
Sure.
get my ass on a plane and go and see. I'll have to come to you. You know?
Yeah, but it would actually be making more sense for fans like, and they do actually. I mean, the festival in Norway, the Inferno and Beyond the Gates in Bergen, they attract a lot of travelers because this is the only place they can see all these bands they want to see. You know, so that's probably more likely. We'll probably set up a few shows in Oslo and with the other bands, and then make people come to see us here. You know, makes more sense.
Can I stay there with you?
Sure, you can
You
just
know, just pull up a beanbag.
set up a tent.
Yeah, that's right. But man, of course, next year is the 20th anniversary of Necrosis, which is where the band left off previously. Have you got
Yeah.
plans to sort of celebrate that in some way, or revisit it?
Yeah, there's plans of reissuing it and getting it out on vinyl.
Mm.
Other than that, I'm not really celebrating the past that much. You know, I'm always moving forward. But we'll see. You know, now right now I feel really happy that we managed to release this new album, and we'll just see how that takes you know, its own course, and obviously open for playing festivals in 2024. So that's really what I'm aiming at and working on.
And of course, you released an autobiography years ago, right? 2011.
Yeah, actually, I did that way ahead of any good reason why to do it. But yeah,
You're going to revisit some of that because I mean, it's like what was that 2011? It's been almost like a whole other lifetime, bro. And you've been through so much. Do you reckon you could maybe add another chapter to it and re-release it, or?
yeah, or make the first book one chapter and then the rest of it the rest of the book. Uh, I don't know. I have actually a manuscript which is sort of sorry semi fiction about the 90s,
Okay.
and I think that would be probably more interesting because then I can you know, because back then that's when things started out and strange things happened in a total different sense than later. You know, I don't like those autobiographies that is basically bragging about you doing this, doing that. It's more funny to go into more quirky sides of things, and especially when things go really wrong. You know, I think the best stories from bands are when things really go to shit,
Yes, it's true.
because that's where you really find out who you are and why do you want to do this. There's been, and most of that really bad shit happened in the 90s somehow, you know. So I think that's a much more entertaining book to read than to read about people accomplishing anything, because that's not really funny to read. You know, it has to it has to have the train wreck side of things to be a good story. So I think I'll try to incorporate more of the train wrecks into one consistent.
Yeah.
The plan I had a long time ago. Actually, I made a synopsis and started to write stuff about this from the New Year's Eve of 1990 until the New Year's Eve of 1999. And I don't think that's been done yet, and I don't really care if it's done yet, because it's a total different story. So, and that's the decade which really defines all the, you know, myths and turmoil and shit in a total different way than things have happened since. Ever since things started to become professional, things are kind of getting more boring, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It's much more fun to read about people who really have no clue what they're doing and fuck up everything, and yeah, do all the stupid things they do when they do that, which is part of growing up. But yeah, that's a better story, and it's not necessarily a total autobiography, but more like a view into the whole 90s. So maybe that's gonna happen.
Sign me up. I think
Yeah,
Netflix needs to like drive a money truck to your house and make this happen, because I want to see it. Because I grew up in that area as well. I was a young lad, and
yeah.
I would love to hear some of those. Even if you have to change some of the names for legal reasons, I'm sure you've got quite a few good ones.
Yeah, I mean, like things are now, lots of the better characters, for word better or worse, are actually dead too. So it's one of those things. Time flies. So we'll probably have to tell the story before everybody's gone.
And I'm down for that. I'm down for that. But of course, I mean, what else you got coming up, man? Outside of Cadaver, you got the album coming out, few
Yeah.
shows.
Well, I'm working on a few other music projects in my studio. I mean, we were also rehearsing to do this Cadaver album live, but I'm working on something completely different with Vaidruna.
What was that? Sorry.
This Vaidruna, this Viking music
Oh
band.
yeah. Well, Drew. Yeah. Wow.
So one of those guys in that band, the guy who's John Stenerson, the guy who's playing the one of the main lead instruments in the live band. Him and I started to work on something in April, May, and they have been recording quite a few bits and pieces of something which sounds like can I describe it like a even more ambient but heavier version of what they're doing, but without the Viking theme and the kind of lyrics they have. So it's more like a meditative, almost like a doomy version of what they're doing. So the songs are super long, totally anti-commercial. This one is like 16 minutes. It's the shortest song.
That's so cool, man. Has it got a name? Have you got a name for it?
Yeah, it's called The Third Circle.
Sick. When's it
So
coming out? When can we expect?
yeah, I mean, we recorded a lot of stuff just like I said in April, May, and then he went on tour, and I've been busy, doing all the things to release this album. So
Yeah.
we're gonna probably go get back together and figure things out with this in the autumn.
That's awesome, man. I can't wait to hear that. That sounds incredible. But
Yeah,
that's awesome. And
I'm always doing something new, which I
that's
find the most interesting.
That is something about you as a musician, though. I've noticed throughout the years, you've not just stuck to death metal. You've dabbled in other styles, like even like the industrial stuff, with Magenta, or you know what I mean, the alt
Mhm.
rock stuff. You're quite diverse when it comes to your own musical taste. But when you do your death metal, you do it really well. Where do you
Yeah.
lean most of the time, man? Like what when you sit down to listen to an album, what is it you lean towards the most?
No, I'm always a song by song interested, actually, more the sound and the vibes. And because basically I'm not invested in heavy touring anymore, so I'm always, this album, Cadaver album, pretty much was recorded and done a year ago, so I have a lot of time in my studio to do other things, and I always also work on new Cadaver stuff or re-releasing stuff. So there's a line of production going on, which is kind of uh, on its course, but sometimes I never search for other projects anymore. They just come to me. So this thing with the Vardruna guy, he just started to talk to me. He wanted to meet me at the Inferno Festival, and he came to me with this idea that is correlating with an idea I had. So we just started to work together because of his approach. So I'm very fortunate to be able to know so many talented musicians that want to work with me. So when they have some ideas which is really up my alley, I really want to try it out and see where it can take me and what's happening. Because it's so many things you can do to life. But if you constantly think that you should just do one thing, yes, that's probably good for some people, but the variation makes it all in more interesting for me. So I just need to carry out all the ideas I have all the time to also look at stuff like that with a fresh set of eyes, so it's not just stuck in one thing. And as I said, I'm not leaning on getting out on the road all the time to play live anymore. So it's I got a lot of time on my hands actually to do all kinds of things I want to do, which is great.
That's what you want, man. It's always sad when you hear bands and they sort of get stuck in their ways. They get stuck in that one sound and they can't break away from it. The only way they can do it is by side projects or stuff like that. But you got in there early and you didn't set the rules, which is the way to do it. And that's why I respect you as a musician, mate.
Thank you.
Love it. Love it. But hey man, thanks for hanging out on the show. I really appreciate you taking the time, man. It's been great.
Thank you for waiting for me to figure out where to go to do this interview. So
That's okay.
yeah,
Hey, you got the cool room.
yeah, but like it seems like I really like the fact that almost every interview I'm doing is podcasts or live stuff. I mean, for YouTube and stuff like that, because I think that's where things are happening now. And to be honest, I haven't read a music magazine for maybe, I don't know, even when that was. It's good to be more interactive with people and talk to them about things. And this way, it's also more dynamic. I'm coming out actually with my own YouTube series
Oh, cool,
called
man.
The Age of the Offended, where I'm interviewing artists about the age of the offended and how they view things. So I have stuff coming up on the Cadaver channel as well, with interviews with Nergal from Behemoth, Mike from Soulfly, Attila from Mayhem, this girls from a band called Witch Club Satan, and the best part is probably when I talk to a lot of fans out on the field on a huge festival in Oslo, and everybody was super afraid of saying anything offensive. So we'll see where this takes us. The world seems to be a stranger and stranger place, so let's just go for it.
I'm sign me up, mate. I will subscribe to that. You just need to get a few beers into people, and then they loosen up, and then they'll say anything, which then they later regret. you know,
That is true. That's the regretting part, which is the sad thing. People shouldn't regret anything.
that's
No
right.
regret is there's nothing to regret. You know, the regret is just grinding your brain up into thinking that you should have done something different. What's done is done. You need to move on.
That's it. That's it. That's the best advice, mate. But hey, in the meantime, we will have all the links down here and on the website and the YouTubes and the Spotify's and all that for the Age of the Offended. And mate, what an incredible album. And I appreciate your time hanging out today, brother. Thank you.
All right, thank you, man.
Take care, bro.
Stay safe.
See you, mate.